गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलादेवा जय सुभद्रा जय गौरानिता 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 निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय सच्चिदानंद जय सच्चिदानंद जय सच्चिदानंद गौर हरि जय सच्चिदानंद जय सच्चिदानंद जय सच्चिदानंद गौर हरि गौर 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 हरि गौर 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 हरि निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल मायापुर चंद्र गौर हरि मायापुर चंद्र गौर हरि नदिया विहारी गौर हरि गौर 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 हरि गौर 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 हरि निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग जय गौर हरि निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग जय गौर हरि गौर 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 हरि गौर 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 हरि निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Oh Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Devam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Kachara Stotra Satasya Srimati Rivangesi Bhakti Vedanta Sanskrupada की जय. देवों विष्णुपाद ब्रह्मंत प्रविराज काचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतस्व श्रीमद दिव्यांगशील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय. अनंत गौड़ी वैष्णवंद की जय. नामाचार्य श्रीलदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय. ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय. नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय. श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगामयी यमुनामाई की जय. भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय. समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय. हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरि हरि बोल. All reach to assembly devotees. Hare Krishna. All reach to assembly devotees. Hare Krishna. All reach to assembly devotees. Hare Krishna. All reach. All reach to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. बहुत की जय. ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नमस्ते सारस्वती गौरवाणी प्रजा निर्विशेष शून्यवाद पंचामच्चते स्थान. Okay, reading from Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, verse number 31 to 33. So, Chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, verse number 31. The new section we are starting. Let me share the screen. Okay. You chant repeat after Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavati uttama sloke bhakti bhavati naistiki. Hari Om Tat Sat. 2.31 Swadharmam api cha aveksha na vikampitum arhasi dharmadhi yuddha shreyo anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Swadharmam api cha aveksha na vikampitum arhasi dharmadhi युद्धा श्रेयो अन्यात् क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते. स्वधर्मम् अपि च अवेक्ष्य न विकम्पितुमर्हसि धर्माद्धि युद्धा श्रेयो अन्यात् क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते. Word to word translation. Swadharmam. Swadharmam, one's own religious principles, api also, cha indeed, aveksha considering, na never, vikampitam to hesitate, arhasi you deserve, dharmyat for religious principles, he indeed, yuddhat than fighting, sreya better engagement, anyat any other, kshatriyasya of the kshatriya, na does not, vidyate exist. Translation by Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Considering your specific duty as Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. And so there is no need for hesitation. Repeat, considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. And so there is no need for hesitation. Verse number 32, chapter 2, verse number 32. Yadruchya cha upapannam swargadvaramapavrutam sukina kshatriya parda labante yuddhamidrisam. Yadruchya cha upapannam swargadvaramapavrutam sukina kshatriya parda labante yuddhamidrisam. Yadruchaya cha upapannam swargadvaramapavrutam sukina kshatriya parda labante yuddhamidrisam. Yadruchaya cha upapannam swargadvaramapavrutam sukina kshatriya parda labante yuddhamidrisam. Word to word translation. Yadruchaya, by its own accord, cha also upapannam, arrived at Swarga of the heavenly planets, dwaram, door, apavrutam, wide open, sukina, very happy, kshatriya, the members of the royal order, parda, osanapruta, labante, do achieve, yuddham, war, idrisam, like this. Translation by Jagannatha Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Gopal Vijay. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. Verse number 33. Ata chetvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tata swadharmam kirtim cha dhitva papam avapsyasi. Reading from chapter 2, verse number 33. Ata chetvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tata swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsyasi. Ata chetvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tata swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsyasi. Word to word translation. Ata, therefore, chet, if, tvam, you, imam, this, dharmyam, as a religious duty, sangramam, fighting, na, do not, karishyasi, perform, tata, then, swadharmam, your religious duty, kirtim, reputation, cha, also, hitva, losing, papam, sinful reaction, avapsyasi, will gain. Translation. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. Please repeat. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. We'll try to understand what Krishna is trying to tell here. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं देवतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। वैष्णव की जय। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Rupa Goswam Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. So, today we are discussing a new section. So, we are in chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized. So far, after Arjuna understood his defects, his problem in not able to come out of understand, not able to understand, not able to identify which way to go, what to do, whether to fight or renounce the kingdom. So, with that dilemma, then he surrendered that he could understand without surrendering to spiritual master, Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. I cannot make my own decision. So then he surrendered to spiritual master. Then Krishna started giving instructions. That is the first section. That is the third section. So that is last week we ended that. It is called Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga. There is systematic presentation. If you look at the first verse, Krishna is speaking 2.13, and then the last verse, verse number 30, there is, you see the connection is ending that with the question. It started, same word is used. देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यपरं जरा तथा देहान्तर प्राप्ति देहस्तत्र न मुह्यते. And the last verse number 30 is Dehi Nityam Avadyoyam. So because he is talking about the body and the soul, characteristics of the body and the soul in great detail in that section. So now he is ending that, is giving the essence, ultimately giving that summary, that Dehi. So Deha means body. Dehi means one who is possessing that body, who is nothing but soul. So Dehi Nityam Avadyoyam. So Nityam means eternal. This soul is eternal. Body is temporary, is concluding. He started with chastising Arjuna. Then he started explaining about the characteristics of the body and characteristics of soul in various different ways. And then finally he is concluding that this soul which is engaged in this particular body which you are in, and not only you, everybody else. It's not that matter, this body is made of chemicals. Rather, because spirit is there, body is there. If spirit is not there, body cannot exist. There's like these universes, this universe, these planetary systems, the stars, all of them exist because spirit is there. Otherwise, they cannot float in its orbit. They cannot float in its own orbit. What is it? Gam avishchicha bhutan dharayam aham vojisa. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling, I am just like you take the dust particle and you put it in your palm, in your hand, a fist, and you keep it, then that will stay. Minute you take it out, then it will dust particle, everything falls. Same way, Krishna is keeping all these universes, everything like is putting in a fist. So because of spirit, super soul, either everywhere there is a spirit. So in our body, in all other living species of life, whether it's Atma or Paramatma. Atma means the small, the living spark, like the sunrise. Paramatma means big, great, Vibhu, greatest. So that is Supreme Lord. Because we have minute, just like we can fly aeroplane because pilot is there. It's not that aeroplane is flying just like without a pilot. It will fall down if pilot is not managing. Same is because the small spirit is there, is managing, so that's why body is able to float. Same way, so this body is existing, so but it is eternal because the soul, because of soul currently conditioned, it is being taken this particular species of life. So that means it is, and then further third line is mentioning that Dehe Sarvasya Bharata. This particular whatever the soul within this body, everywhere you see the souls, whether it's animal or bird or reptile, insect, tree, everywhere the soul is there. Nobody should kill unnecessarily any living entity. It's not that only human being has soul. No, soul is there everywhere. That's Dehe Sarvasya Bharata. Krishna is telling Arjuna, don't lament, and you are eternal. You don't need to lament for Bhishma and Drona. Not only Bhishma, Drona, not only the human beings. Even the elephant, though, even those what you call not crane, what other because in battlefield they use the elephant for sure, horses and other what is the other ones, other animals also they use. So all of them also have soul. It's not that they don't have a soul. They also have a soul. So don't worry. They are all eternal. They are there in the past. They are there now. They are going to be there in the future also. Dehe nityam avadyoyam. Dehe sarvasya bharata. And don't lament. Give up this lethargy and fight. That's how he's concluding. So he's telling finally that soul is the where everywhere it is there. So don't need too much worry about this old, especially Bhishma and Drona. You are too much attached. They are already old. They are going to get new body. You don't need to worry. They are eternal. They were there in the past. They are there now. They are going to be there in the future also. So don't worry too much about this temporary condition, and just get up and fight. And that's how Krishna is ending that Gnana Yoga, Sankhya Yoga section. And it's very much needed because he's speaking here in this next section about Dharma, Swadharma. Because why? When you will understand about Dharma, whether it's Swadharma or Parodharma, or what is it? Parodharma, Aparodharma, or Parodharma, Bhagavad Dharma, or Sanatan Dharma. There are different names, but we'll come to that. So, in order for any living entity to understand Dharma, you first need to understand basic fundamentals of Jnana. So, that's why Krishna is giving Jnana before. Without the basic fundamentals, you cannot, if Krishna is going to speak about the Dharma, he will not be able to understand because he already spoke in 2.5 or 6. He's talking about already about this Dharma. He doesn't know, he couldn't decide what is his Dharma, what he's supposed to do. And Dharma is nothing but occupational duty. But we'll come to the detail. So why Krishna is giving, there is systematic present. So we have to understand the intricacies why Krishna is presenting in a certain fashion. So when Krishna left this planet, so the Saunaka and other rishis assembled Naimisharan asking the question, where did all the religion go? So there, Krishnasva dham upagate dharma gnanadi visa, kalau nasta drusamesa puranarko dunodita. All the religion has taken shelter in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. You can consult everything, all the religious principles. Everything is described in great detail end to end with examples in Srimad Bhagavatam. And is not different from Krishna. His form in the lotus feet is the first canto, and all the way to 12th canto is his mukut. 10th canto is his face, beautiful lotus face. And 11th and 12th there is the mukut and the head portion, top portion. So in this way, each and every canto is a portion of the form of the Lord, not different. So there it is mentioned, Krishnasva Dhamma Upagate Dharma Gnanadi. So Dharma is always after Gnana, because if we don't understand that your constitutional position, actually who you are you this body or are you the soul, and what is our constitutional position, how will you understand what is your occupational duty? There is no chance, because you don't even understand what is who you are. If you think that you are this body is just bag of chemicals, then how will you understand what is your occupational duty? What is your natural characteristic, original characteristics? We will not be able to understand. That's why Krishna has to give first fundamental knowledge, Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Then he can speak about the Dharma, occupation, what is actually your duty after understanding this body and so. Then he can speak, okay, not only the duty, how you should perform better your duty. Then this verse number 31 to 39 is speaking Karma Yoga about the Swadharma. Then he is going to speak from verse number 40 to all the way to 54 or 55 about Nishkama Karma Yoga. Because he is going step by step, he is going systematically. Because if you don't understand one section, you cannot understand next section. Because these are all interrelated. And then further, then he is talking about after Nishkama Karma, that means without attached to results. Then you have to come to the next level, which means you may be performing work without attached results, but that's not all in all. Because you could be situated in mode of goodness. You see attached to the name and fame. May not be attached to results, but he may be still in, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, you may be situated, but that's not going, that still is a good karma, but it's not going to give us, come out of this pain and pleasure, come out of this birth, death, old age, disease. We will not be able to enter into the spiritual world. We will still be in this material world. Have to take up different species of life. So that's why, in order for us to come out from there and enter Bhagavad Arpita, Nishkam Bhakti Yoga or Samadhi, then Krishna is speaking. That's why it is called contents of Gita Samara, because he is speaking all yogas, the Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and different yogas, and Bhakti Yoga ultimately. So Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda. In this way, so systematically presenting. Now coming back to, so that's like Dharma, Gnana, Divisa. So Gnana has been given. You understand what is the body, what is soul. Now Krishna is speaking about Swadharma. So that this, why the, what is this Dharma is based on? Dharma is based on not on the by birth. It is based on the quality. Varnas Chaturvarnam Maya Srashtam Guna Karma Vibhagasa. So Guna means by quality, not by birth. So just like, and it is very much needed to maintain this society, to maintain actual balance in the society. It's very much needed. Just like Prabhupada explains, example, the brain. So any living entity, even any species of life for that matter, as for human being specifically, you have a head, your brain department, then you have hands, then you have stomach, belly, then you have legs. Four departments. There are four divisions are there. Nothing can exist independently. Brain cannot exist without having the stomach, and nobody is putting the energy food into the through the mouth. It is going to stomach and getting digested, and then energy is everywhere distributed through secretions. Then body is working. That means hands are needed, legs are needed, stomach is needed, belly to digest, and then brain is also needed. So some may be inferior, some may be superior. Just like the right hand is superior, the left hand is inferior. Same way, so the all body parts are needed. So that means, and they have to interdependent. They have to work cooperatively. So that's a four divisions is based on the quality, not by birth. That means based on his characteristics. Dharma is defined in English dictionary. You will find faith, but faith can change. But this Dharma here Krishna is speaking, which doesn't change. Occupational duty means is it based on the quality. So like water is liquidity, salt is salty, chili is spicy. So all these has a natural characteristics. It doesn't change. Yes, if you artificially put the water in the refrigerator and freeze it, then it may become ice. But as soon as you take it out, the natural characteristic is the same way. Our original condition, like rainwater, as soon as till it comes, it is fresh and pure. But the minute it touches the ground, it becomes impure. Because same way, the living entity is pure, but minute we want to enjoy separately from the Lord and desire to be the creator or enjoyer, then we are here in this material world, and as soon as we enter into the material world, then we become conditioned. Three modes of mental, because that's how this material world is created. So because this is like a prison house and the rest of the whole country, rest of the city. So because those who wants to follow, that's what dharma means also. Who has given, this is rules given by the Supreme Lord, the laws, the law and order given by the Supreme Lord. Dharmantu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. It is not somebody has created this some man-made dharmas. No, it is given by the Supreme Lord. Krishna himself is mentioned. Chaturvarna mayas gunakarma vibhagasa. Tadapi kartaram. I am the one who has created, but I am not bound by this. I have created, just like the Supreme Court judgment. He is giving a judgment, but doesn't mean that he is being bound by that. He is giving, looking at the arguments and looking at the case study of both sides, and then he is giving judgment. But he is not. As same as superintendent in the prison, so he might be superintendent. That doesn't mean that he is also thief, one of the thief. No, he is not one of the thief. He is just doing the duty, taking care of the that superintendent as of this particular place, a prison. Same way Krishna is taking care of. Krishna has created this four department: brain department, intellectual department. That's what Chaturvarnam Maya Srashtam means. Four divisions has been created to work not independently. We come to that dependent. Each one is dependent on other. Brahmana class means intellectual class, the top class, which is the head or brain. And then coming to the next class is the administrative class, and that is Kshatriya class. It is based on the quality. Then that is arms. Arms are considered as Kshatriya. Then the stomach or the belly is the Vaishya class, agriculture class, business class, agriculture slash business. Then the last one is the Sudra class, that means worker class. So, but in Kali Yuga, we see most of the time. So, this is the first for human civilization means there are 20 or so more Dharma Shastra. The first beginning of this human civilization is Varnashrama Dharma. That is the beginning. If there is no this Varnashrama Dharma, then it's a classless society, it becomes a chaos. And today's world is like that because everybody is operating on this last platform, a Sudra platform. There is no other three platforms. At the most, you may see some Vaishya platform, but no Kshatriya, no Brahmana. Actually, first, second, third, they are all they are twice born. Actually, they are all they go through the reformation process. They go through the what is that thread, Brahmin thread, or what you call that, Upanayana. Yes. So reformation, that is samskara. So that they go through, but it is not a matter of just going through that samskara actually, but they must follow the quality. They must, because in each of them it is mentioned clearly. First, let's understand there are four departments. They have to work cooperatively. If one is not working cooperatively with other, that if the head is thinking I don't need any of you, then can it work independently? No, it cannot sustain. The same thing with the hand, same thing with the legs, same thing. All four is needed. They have to work cooperatively. So then there will be a harmony. Then there will be a, because all working, because these are ashramas, varnashrama. That is good. Varnashrama acharvata purushena brahman vishnu aradhyate nanyat tattva. The underlying principle is to come to the understand it all belongs to Krishna. All these four parts, these four divisions are being created. Everybody is working because the intellectual class, what is Brahmana is doing, he is worshipping the Supreme Lord. The problem is they are not paying attention to the details. So they are being worshipped. They are worshipping, but they are not understanding the actual principle behind worshipping. So that's why in this particular section, Krishna is only speaking about the Swadharma and doing activity, but later he has to speak about the Nishkama Karma, because that's what is happening. And even today, if somebody is worshipping, they are worshipping, they want something in return. It is not being done as a haituki, that means without expecting anything in return. Then that's that's what they are supposed to do. These four varnas, Brahmana is supposed to perform Samadhama, Titikshva, Tapas, Saucham, Jnanam, Vijnanam, Astikyam, Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. Yeah. So that means they have to be peaceful, they have control, the sense control, self control, austerity, cleanliness, simplicity, then Satyam, Saucham, cleanliness, Samadhikam, Titikshva, tolerate, Jnanam, knowledge, and Vijnanam, practical application, not theoretically knowing, Astikyam, Brahma Karma, Swabhavajam, and religiosity. And they understand that ultimately to worship the Supreme, to please the Supreme Lord, without expecting anything in return. And that is also the characteristic is also mentioned. These are the 9 qualities of a Brahmana they are supposed to have. And further also Krishna is explaining they should only accept the limited capacity. And so that's why Kapil Dev is explaining Swadharmam Acharam Shaktya, by using your own abilities maximum. You should engage in these activities depending on the quality. And then Vidharma cha Nivartanam. So any irreligious activity we should give up. And then Daiva Lava Santosha. We should be satisfied with whatever we get. Whether it's as a Brahmana we are working, or a Kshatriya or Vaisya or Sudra, we should be satisfied with whatever we get. Doing our own duty, not somebody else's duty. Brain has to do its own duty, hands, legs, stomach, it has to do its own duty. Otherwise, it is called diseased condition. Because when we operate in a diseased condition, the hand is diseased, there is a problem, it doesn't work. What will happen? Then it's a problem. Then we are not in a peaceful condition. We are not in a normal state. It's a problem for the whole body to sustain. So that's why we have to come out of the disease condition. All four has to work in cooperation. So Brahmana is mentioned Yajan, Yajan, Patan, Patam, Dana, Pratigna. That is the quality of a Brahmana. Yajan, Yajan means he should perform sacrifices and he should teach others how to perform sacrifices. And Dana, Pratigna, Dana means he should only accept charity, but he should only keep limited whatever he needs, not want, he needs for his sustaining. And whatever he gets, he should be satisfied. He shouldn't be thinking, oh, somebody else has more than me, so why not me? Why I don't have? So he shouldn't be hankering after that. So that is a very important quality he needs to have. Yajan Yajam Dana Pratigna. It should be very much strict on that. So this is the quality of Brahma. But in today's world, we see that that's why they are called even the Kshatriya, Vaisya. These three of them goes through Upanayana Samskara, and then if they don't perform actually to the as per their quality, Kshatriya's quality is mentioned as Sauryam Tejo Yuddhe cha Apalayanam Virya Kshatriya Dharma Swabhavajam. So they should be powerful, there should be heroism, there should be generosity, resourcefulness, Chatam Ishwara Bhavascha, leadership, generosity, they should be very resourceful, generosity, and powerful, and they shouldn't be run away. They should be in the front line, running, fighting. That's why even today also in Jaipur, as per Rajput kings, they go for fighting directly with tiger, lion, directly they one on one. So that because they have to practice, that is a natural quality they have as real Kshatriyas. In their blood, it's in their quality, it is there. Like Dhruva Maharaj, he couldn't take up what his father, his mother, stepmother told. You cannot sit on father's lap. He was so much as his blood was boiling. He couldn't take it, even though he is 5 years only, child. But he couldn't take it because the Kshatriya quality is there. It's not by birth, but it is based on the quality. So that is the main thing. It's not by birth. So Kshatriya has to perform this. So that here Krishna is telling Arjuna, as a forget about this body and soul. At least as a Kshatriya, coming from both mother and father side, both sides, you are coming from a Kshatriya business, and you have given, you are told, you have doubts, you have questions, you are arguing with, here on the battlefield, coming to the battlefield, arguing that I don't want to fight because there is enjoyment, no enjoyment. I don't want to fight because compassion of my own family. And the third reason he was giving is I don't want to fight because sinful activity. Oh, if I kill my own family, I'm going to incur sinful activity. And then same thing we see in Yudhishthira Maharaj after this whole battlefield is completed, now the Kurukshetra is over. Then later on, Bhishma Pitama, so he was very much lamenting. There also it is mentioned where Bhishma Yudhishthira Maharaj is mentioning Naino Ragna Praja Vartur Dharma Yuddhe Vadodvisham Itimena tu Bodhaya Kalpate Shasanam Vacha. So we are mentioning it is as per the scripture Vadodvisham. Anybody who is envious, Praja Vartur, whoever is kings are maintaining the citizens, for them killing the enemies to maintain them, protect them, Kshatrayate iti Kshatriya. Means one who is protecting, Kshatriya means one who is protecting the citizens for the pleasure of the Supreme to maintain the world and maintain the kingdom, and also it is Kshatriya's business to make sure that Brahmana is doing its Brahmana business, Sudra is doing Sudra's business, everybody is doing their own, not somebody else's duty. Brahmana not supposed to accept more than what he needs, and you should give the rest of them charity, you should perform sacrifice, you shouldn't be taking up somebody else's duty. You shouldn't be working as a, that's why you will see that Parasuram has killed, when they don't operate on the Kshatriya platform, he killed 21 times Kshatriya clan, because they didn't work, they didn't operate on the actual principles of Kshatriya. So they whimsically, they just want to fight, or they want to just increase their kingdom, so for their own necessities, for their own pride, for their own strength, for various other purposes, not actually performing actual religious principles, then that is not called actually Kshatriya Dharma. So then that's when Parasuram has killed 21 times, and all of them went and went to different places. Some went to Greek, some went to all these different places where some of these Kshatriya kings has came and settled outside of, even though at that time initially Bharatavarsha, all one country actually, the whole, this all 7 continents at that time, but later on it became, because all of them settled, and then later on now the Greek and other countries, and all these are explained, Prabhupada is explaining. So that's how these are all, actually we still find some traces of this culture, Sanatana Dharma, eternal Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means occupational duty, Sanatana means eternal. It is not today. This is because given by the Supreme Lord. Whenever this material world was created, He has given this Dharma, the rules, what they are supposed, especially for human being, not for others, not for other species of life. This Varna Ashrama Dharma. That's why Prabhupada is explaining in the purport of this verse. There are 2 divisions. One is those who are operating on the, especially the first level, which means still conditioned with this bodily platform. So for them, Varnashrama Dharma is supposed to be performed, because so that gradually they will develop detachment, internal detachment. They will come to the next level of Dharma, which is Paro Dharma, especially the Bhagavat Dharma, coming to that highest Dharma, where they will directly worship the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, they, without any other motives, completely ahaituki apradhyata ya atma suprasid savai pumsam parodharma. That is the parodharma actually. So that is the second dharma. 2 kinds of dharmas, but the first one is varnashram. That's what in this specific verse Krishna is telling Arjuna to perform varnashram dharma, because he was too much attached to the body. He was telling, I am compassionate to his family, but he forgot he is supposed to protect all this, not just for his family. Then he doesn't need to take up as king. He can sit at home and just do some other business, not Kshatriya business. So that's why Krishna chastised him, and then he telling, where is your actual compassion? Compassion for actual soul, not to the body. So all of them are souls, not just only Bhishma, Drona, and your own brothers and sisters and others. That everybody, so there should be compassion for everybody else. You are supposed to protect, instead of protecting all the citizens, you are just thinking about your own family. So that's not the actual compassion. That's why he chastised. Then he said, your no enjoyment. Krishna is speaking about that in the previous section, and in this section also Krishna is speaking in 32 and 33. Actual enjoyment you will get even as for Kshatriya, this comes unsought, without even asking for it. Because on the battlefield, even if you die, you are going to go to heavenly planets. If you win, then you are going to enjoy the kingdom. So that's what here Krishna is mentioning in the second verse. He is removing the doubt, where and then further Krishna is mentioning, if you don't perform this Swadharma, you will incur sinful activity. Papam avapsyasi. You will incur sinful activity. So rather you should fight. Then only actually your real enjoyment, and you will not incur sinful activity, or rather you will be happy. So if you don't do it, rather you will incur sinful activity and you will not enjoy. You will have to suffer. But as a Kshatriya Swadharma, one who is not performing Swadharma, if he is not fighting, then he has to suffer the consequences. He will incur actual sinful activity and he has to suffer more. So that's why it is mentioned that the vritti, the occupational duty, vurdham gachanti sattvastha, one who is performing good activity, goodness, mode of goodness, then he will go mode of goodness, means Brahmana is in mode of goodness actually. But if somebody is not performing on this level, we'll come to the example, we see how these Dvijapatnis, the Brahmana's wives, How did they perform? How did they work? How did they act? And how did these Brahmanas act when Krishna and Balaram was there in Vrindavan? So we can see the example. So throughout Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can see the example. They are called Dvija Bandhus. Those who have got the twice born, the Upanayan, they got the Brahmin thread, but they are not acting. They are only acting. They are attached to the results. They are acting. They are performing mechanically. They are performing just as a duty. They are not understanding what is the essence behind the actual the rituals, actual sacrifices, actual yajna. What is actually the rationale behind for them to do? Why they have to do? Without understanding that, they are simply because they will get something in return. That's what they are attached to. So that is a problem actually. That's what we see in the example. So they are called when they don't operate on the platform of actual quality of a Brahmana or Kshatriya or Vaishya, then they are called Dvija Bandhus, Chhatra Bandhu, Vaishya Bandhu. Means they are not actually, even though theoretically they are actually the twice born, but they are not acting on the actual platform. So that is then today's world. Prabhupada mentions that most of them are operating in the Dvija Bandhu platform, not Dvija Sreshta. Actually, they are supposed to Brahmana means they are supposed to be Dvija Sreshta. Krishna eats, Lord Vishnu eats from the mouth of a Brahmana or Vaishnava, because he is always, because they are supposed to be worshipping completely attached to the Supreme Lord. They shouldn't be expecting anything. Without expecting anything in return, they should be performing the duty, the performing the actual occupation, the natural characteristics. This yajan yajan, dana pratigna. So this maintaining this vigyan means practical application. Because that is so, we see in that example of Dvija Patnis, when Krishna and Balaram sent the cowherd boys when they were hungry, Krishna told, okay, go and approach the Brahmanas and ask that Krishna and Balaram has come here and ask for some food. And then they go and approach Brahmana, and then they are not, and even though they tell, you can give, you started this yajna sacrifice, yeah, so you can still give, you will not get any sinful activities, you can still give food, but they are not, they are so much attached to the rituals. They are so much, who are these cowherd boys? Why should we give? So that they didn't actually operate on the actual, because what is the definition of a Brahmana Shastra is explained. Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. That means, they are supposed to, Ajan Yajan, whatever their quality, whatever their activity is, ultimately it has to lead to the understand the actual Supreme Brahman, Para Brahman. Who is the actually the ultimate source, ultimate creator, ultimate enjoyer, ultimate proprietor, whom everything belongs to. That is what actual Brahmana means. That is why they are called intelligent class. They are supposed to guide all others. If they themselves are attached to things, how will they guide somebody else? If they are attached to money, how will they be generous? How will they give charity what they are getting? And how will they guide others, Kshatriyas? If they themselves, if they want expecting something in return, if king will give me this, give me that, then how will they actually perform their duty properly? Because that's what in today's world that is going on. They might be by birth Brahmana, but they are not operating on the quality of a Brahmana. Same way these Brahmanas, they are operating as Brahma Bandhu. They didn't understand the actual real Brahman. They didn't have the full self-realization. So they are attached to this sacrifice, that they are attached to the rituals. The essence is forgotten, and they didn't give anything. And then they were morose. And then they went back and told Krishna and Balaram, this is what happened. And so don't worry, then go and approach their wives. They are very much attached to me. They will definitely give. And then they came back again, and this time they went to the houses of these wives of the Brahmanas, and then because the wives of the Brahmanas from the beginning, they were hearing about Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, their pastimes, their quality, their how they look, all the from these fruit sellers, from the flowers. So different people are always from Vrindavan, they are coming. So because this is close, where this incident has happened, this pastime happened, Govardhan has happened. What do you call the Indras? tormenting rains for 7 days. So that time Krishna lifted Govardhan. So this pastime has happened at this place where this Brahmana is performing sacrifice. So very close to that place. So that's where this incident has happened. So very close to Vrindavan. So there, these Dvija Patnis, Brahmana wives are very much, they are always attached to Krishna because they are constantly hearing, constantly glorifying the Supreme Lord because they heard their beauty, their attraction, their form, their qualities. So they immediately, as soon as they saw cowherd boys and as soon as they told that Krishna and Balaram want thing, then immediately they didn't even think second thing. They just whatever they have, they grabbed and then they went in rushing to Krishna and Balaram. So they went and saw and then they offered the obeisances, they glorified, and they want Krishna and Balaram, they want to stay there rather than they offered their prayers, then they want Krishna and Balaram to accept just like the gopis of Vrindavan. They left their husbands and they came to Krishna. So like that, they also, these wives of the Brahmanas, they completely understood that what is the essence of life. They are attached to Krishna and Balaram. They came and glorified, they offered everything. So Krishna was very much happy with how they acted. Then Krishna told them, now you can go back to your homes, but they didn't want to go back. We want to stay here. And they mentioned, then Krishna told, you don't need to be in a physical close proximity. You can go back and think of me, meditate on me. You can worship me. Worship the deity is not different from me. By that, automatically you will attain me. So you don't need to be here in close proximity. And we are afraid that my husbands are not going to accept us. They will criticize us because we have left without taking permission and all that. The Krishna told, don't worry, even demigods will be satisfied. So everything will be all right. So I will make sure that everything will happen. Everything will be all right. So then in that way they went back. Where Acharyas explained, this is the quality one must develop, one must have. That is paying attention to the details. So not simply performing something just like that. So that temple services, the deity worship, Prabhupada is explaining also somewhere about the determination. These Dvija Patnis have so much determination that they want to see Krishna, they want to talk to Krishna, they want to serve Krishna. That so much determination each and every day they have that. So that's why they are able to see Krishna. So Prabhupada is explaining that the deity worship should be done in such a way that how to gorgeously decorate, how to see that, making sure that because in today's world, those who have already received this Upanayana, some of Brahman thread, whether it's Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaisya, but they are performing, but they are not performing. Actually, they are not trying to see that the deities are decorated nicely. Prabhupada, when the deities are not decorated nicely, then their heart becomes black. Heart becomes black means dirty, conditioned more and more. When that happens, then naturally they will fall down. Prabhupada mentions again, that's why many devotees fell down. Because they didn't take care of the worshipping the deity properly. They didn't decorate the body of the Supreme Lord properly. They have been given the task, but they didn't worship properly. They were attached to their own things. When that happened, that's why then Prabhupada is mentioning they had to leave. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't want them. Because the Cheto Darpanam Arjuna Bhava Mahadavag Nirvapanam Sriya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandambudi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. When the living entity is not using this opportunity is given properly, actually ultimately it is the deity worship, the chanting the holy name is to come close to Krishna, not monotonously doing, not paying attention to the details. And Prabhupada also in the Srutakirti Prabhu giving wonderful examples when he served for 2.5 years, Prabhupada as a personal servant, he used to serve and then he used to massage. When we become independent in our services, that means when we are not dependent on Krishna, The Brahmanas here, Dvijapatnis were able, they were dependent on Krishna. They were attached to Krishna every day. So that's why they are able to see Krishna. But in other case, their husbands, Brahmanas, they are not attached to Krishna. They were attached to the results. They were attached to the actual rituals. They are not understanding the essence. And they are not dependent on Krishna. They are acting independently. Same as Srutakirti Prabhu saying, so many times he used to massage, and then generally 2 hours used to massage from the head to the back, and the right side, the legs, feet, like that. He used to massage one by one. Then sometimes he used to think, well, because he's not in the beginning, but as he became more and more experienced, he thought, okay, now let me finish from head and let me move to the back, let me move to here. So I'm done because based on experience. Prabhupada waited for 2 3 days, and the third day he told, until I stop, until I tell you, that's when you stop and you move to the next. So then when somebody, that means that's why paying attention to the details, because you have to be dependent on the master. When you are doing service to a master, especially the spiritual master, especially to the deity, supreme lord, it must be done with very much details, very much attention is required. If our heart to be cleansed, cheto darpan marjanam, like your dust is keep building up, like you are driving the car and sometimes it's too much snow or too much cold, then your wind gets blocking, then you have to keep switching on that defrost. If you don't use it properly, then you will not be able to see, and it is dangerous. Same way, so that means constantly we have to keep it on until that situation becomes better, clear, the weather and the condition, everything. So same way, so until not until always in spiritual service, always the deity or the spiritual master, we have to pay attention to the details. That means we have to be dependent on Krishna and spiritual master. So that's why that where it's mentioned Swadharmam Acharam Shaktya. With your own abilities, you should perform this Swadharma, and then also Vidharmacha Vivartanam. So we should give up any unwanted activities which is not given in the Shastra or Sadhu or Guru. We should reject those. We should give up slowly and gradually. And then we should be happy with whatever we have. Daiva Lava Santushto. And then last one is also Atmavit Charanarchanam. So we should worship one who is intelligent. He will be satisfied with what he has, and then he will also be worshipping the spiritual master. Atmavit Charanarchanam. Worshipping the lotus feet. So, because without worshipping the spiritual master, we will not be able to please the Supreme Lord. So, he is the representative of the Supreme Lord. So, that's why by pleasing him, by serving him, by following his instruction, then we will be able to understand Krishna. Otherwise, we will not be able to understand. He also told a few times, the offering obeisance also must be done. Nothing is mechanical. So, a few times, one time, Srutakirti Prabhu, so devotee has come and offered obeisance, went. Second time he came, and then he just put his head, touched the ground, and then immediately get up. Then he is asking questions to Prabhupada. Third time he didn't even touch, just doing something just like as a formality. So then Prabhupada explained, what is this hatchet kind of business? It is not just some mechanically just doing some gymnastics. Actually, there is a surrender means you are offering yourself, your body, your mind, everything the Supreme Lord and his representative. That means you are offering, you are dependent on the spiritual master's mercy. So that's what you are fully offering yourself. But that means minute we think we are independent, we don't fully surrender. So then we take it for granted, and we are supposed to offer that pranam mantra. Whenever we offer obeisances, there must be pranam mantra should be chanted. As a temple or at home, if you are not initiated, we chant the Prabhupada pranam mantra. If you are initiated, we chant the Guru pranam mantra and Prabhupada pranam mantra. So this is the way Shastra is clearly indicating. So that's why each and everything. So he was explaining, and he was also explaining about how to serve the devotees, paying attention to details. So one time he was generally Prabhupada used to take his prasadam alone, not with anybody else, because he's completely relishing and thinking about how Krishna tasted the prasadam. So that's how Prabhupada religious. Prabhupada used to take prasad. But one time he saw Srutakirti Prabhu was watching what's going on in the kitchen. Then Prabhupada saw, then Prabhupada called him, come for prasadam, sit with me. Then he didn't want to go because he said, we all will take after you. Prabhupada, you take. But Prabhupada still called, second time, third time also he called, then he went. That time Jamuna Mataji was doing the cooking. Then Jamuna Mataji started serving. So Srutakirti Prabhu was a brahmachari at that time. Then Prabhupada, after that, he told Prabhupada told him that you serve her. You serve her. This is the Vaishnava way. Always we should serve the devotees. How she served. She was very happy to serve. And then one time when Prabhupada in the last in his last days, he was not eating at all for days and weeks. He was not eating at all, not even a little bit. Then one day he asked, can you make upma? So Prabhupada's favorite, it seems, upma, the way I taught. Jamuna Mataji was there, but then he told Prabhupada, because Srutakirti Prabhu was thinking, oh, Prabhupada is not eating at all. He was a little bit disturbed. So Prabhupada seeing so many times, Prabhupada seeing each and every devotee, the quality, the mood, the consciousness, immediately he could understand what his consciousness is. So then he immediately told, okay, you make something, you make upma in the way I taught. He didn't tell Jamuna Mataji, he told. Then he went to the kitchen and then Jamuna Mataji was there, he was telling. Then even though she was, then what did Prabhupada wanted upma? Then she but he wanted me to make. Then Jamuna Mataji didn't say, he asked you to make, then you can make. But she said, what can I help with? How can I serve you? So anything I can do. So this is the attitude of a devotee, always not in any envious way, jealousy way, always how to please spiritual master or supreme lord collectively. It is not independently. That's why the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, these four department has to work cooperatively. Like in a family, the child, the parent, the father, mother, everybody has to work cooperatively. When they don't work cooperatively, when they act independently of any one of them, especially the kids act independently below 16 years, then it's not so good. So that's why it is very important to them to understand that culture must be given, especially when they are child itself. So that's why they all system, Varnashrama system, and later on also Bhagavad Dharma, it is a dependent on the mercy of Krishna and spiritual master. That's very much needed. So because we act like independent, that's why we are here in this material world. So that is the biggest problem. Through these examples we see, Prabhupada has shown this example many times, again and again. Somebody, one of the young devotees everybody was offering obeisances, but young devotee stood up, he didn't offer, he just paid his namaskar like this. Then Prabhupada told Saraswati Prabhu, this is the time for his fall down. Then after a few days only, he couldn't stay. He fell down from his position. So because that's why, minute we don't understand the position of a spiritual master and supreme lord, minute we become independent, minute we become close. Oh, I understood everything. Even Srutakirti Prabhu got many instructions like that because he is closely serving. So sometimes we act independently, but then immediately Prabhupada, knowing his quality, immediately he will chastise or he will give indications, because we have to be very careful. Always we should be dependent. Doesn't matter how knowledgeable we are, how much we became expert in any of the services, we should be always dependent. We should be always praying to the Supreme Lord for all these services, so that we do better and better, we improve, because it is to please the Supreme Lord. So that is the ultimate goal, because that's what Krishna is mentioning in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We see that Ata Pumbhe Dvijasreshta Varnashram Vibhaga Swanustitasya Dharma Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. Hari must be pleased, or his representative must be pleased. If it is not pleasing, that means we have some idea that we want to, I became greatest, I became expert, then it is not so pleasing, because we have some pride in us. So Prabhupada could see that immediately. He immediately could see smell that consciousness in the person, in the disciple. So immediately he used to act accordingly to rectify, to remove that pride in the disciples. That is the spiritual master's duty. So that's why here it is mentioned, Krishna is mentioning to Arjuna, you must act as a Kshatriya, you are supposed to perform your duty as a Kshatriya. You should fight. We don't fight actually if you renounce. And Krishna is also telling, you should act because I am telling you to act. That is Varnashrama system is you perform your duty as Kshatriya is supposed to protect Kshatrayate iti Kshatriya. But also at the same time he is also telling because I am ordering you. As a when it is done, Dharma Yuddha means when it is done for the pleasure of Krishna on the order of that's why always Kshatriya is supposed to be guided by the Brahmanas. Either directly here Supreme Lord directly guiding Arjuna, but they are always guided by the Brahmanas. What is right, what is not right, what is Dharma, what is Adharma. When that is not done in today's world, that is not, that's why Mlecha Rajan Rupina, Prabhupada is mentioning that Shastra is quoting the Shastra. The today's world, everybody is Mlecha. They are not Kshatriyas. They are Mlechas because they are lower than the Sudras. So that's why they have all this tendency to take the all the corruption and everything else. They want to take the money from the citizen. They want to use everything for their own enjoyment. They don't want to give actually give any benefits to the actual citizens. They want to use up everything. So that's why this is kind of this is the position of lower than Sudra. So because of that, everywhere there is a chaos, fighting, it is no peacefulness, no satisfaction, even despite earning so much money by sitting on this, and then they have to suffer for many lifetimes. 1/6 of karma of a living entity, king has to suffer, and imagine how many lifetimes he has to suffer. So in those days, that's why they used to give, Kshatriya used to give, the king supposed to give the punishment. One who has done murder, the king supposed to give directly right there. Immediately he used to give death punishment. Because otherwise, if he is saved from that, then next, not one lifetime, he has to suffer much more. Because the Shastra is clearly giving indication, one who is performing like that, then he has to be given death punishment. So that he doesn't need to suffer more lifetimes. Same one who is doing some stealing, then his hands has to be cut. So next time nobody will do, and then he doesn't need to suffer. When those actions, as per Shastra, it is not followed, then they have to suffer much more because interest and compound interest is building up sinful activity when we don't. Even though we might be hiding from the government, we might be hiding, but in the under the divine jurisdiction, we cannot hide. We have to suffer the consequences. May not be this lifetime, but in the next lifetimes, we have to suffer more. So as the Dhritarashtra, you can see 100 lifetimes, after 100 sons, how many pipes red he need to get 100 sons, and he has to suffer for all 100 sons is killed at one shot. So Gandhari cursed because of that. And so all these pastimes are interconnected. So the idea here is to how to be paying attention to the details in our services as either Brahmana or Kshatriya or Vaisya or Sudra. That means as an engineer or doctor, we shouldn't be many times as devotees we tend to take somebody else's service. Somebody is doing good, why not me? Why they didn't give me this service? Why they have given service to the other devotee? I am expert in that. Why not me? So Krishna has arrangements for different devotees, different circumstances. We should be satisfied with what service we get. So we shouldn't be thinking about other services. We should do what is being given properly and paying attention to details. But if we think we try to take somebody else's duty, paradharma, bhayavaha, Krishna is mentioning, we shouldn't be doing that. So that's why we have to carefully follow and always guided by the authority, guided by the spiritual master, advanced devotee. What should be done, what shouldn't be done, because he is looking at the quality. Prabhupada is to look at the quality and engage them. Somebody is in painting, somebody is in dictating, somebody is in translating, somebody in writing a response to the letters. So in this way, Prabhupada engaged somebody in preaching, somebody do various service. Prabhupada knows exactly what the quality of this disciple is. Then accordingly, by looking at their quality, their consciousness, their characteristics. Prabhupada used to engage them. That is the quality of a spiritual master. That is his duty to understand. That is the duty of a authority. That is the duty of the advanced devotee. And Prabhupada mentioned the first class servant, second class servant, third class servant. First class servant means without looking. But Kirti Prabhu used to do before Prabhupada used to down is not used to say anything. He used to look at, oh, okay, fan has to be switched on or windows has to be up without even saying anything, understanding what Prabhupada wanted. He used to do because he has understood that is first class. Prabhupada mentioned first class servant means he understands without asking. Then he knows exactly what spiritual master wants. That is first class servant. Second class means he has to be told what to be done, and then he will do it. Third class means despite telling, despite giving service, he even for the multiple years still he will not do properly. So that means you can imagine that is the third class servant, Kanishtadhikari. So that's why service, anything we get through Vani or Vapu, we should try to take those instructions and try to put that into practice, try to follow it carefully and paying attention to even if you take up only one service, we should pay attention to the details. Prabhupada is clearly warning out Bhogaiswara Prasakta Anantaya Aparata Chedasam. When we act independently, when we don't act dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord or spiritual master, when we do any service, then errors bound to happen, offenses bound to happen among the devotees, even with the deities. In our service, we might be thinking, I have done a great worship, but offenses will happen because we are not dependent on the Lord or the spiritual master. We are thinking we are independent. So that's why we have to pay attention to those details very carefully. Before we offer service, we should pray sincerely to the Supreme Lord. Then, when we go in, we should seek the mercy of the Sri Prabhupada, Tulsi Maharani, and then we go in for service with that humble mood and try to worship the Lord. And then at the end, also we should be grateful, offering pranam to Sri Prabhupada, and then in that way, when we offer, always be grounded. Then there will not be a place to do any with offenses. Always we are very careful and trying to always be dependent. So that's how we need to act. Then gradually our consciousness will be always be purified. So because we are not expecting anything in return, we are not thinking I became great, I'm already advanced. We don't think in that way because we are always dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So that's what this verse is telling. Krishna is telling Arjuna Swadharma, seemingly externally saying just simply do your duty, but it is much more elaborate than that actually, even on the Varnashrama level also. That's why even though many are performing seemingly as Brahmanas in today's world, you see in most of the temples they are serving, but it's very rare to find a Brahmana where they are fully attached to Krishna, they are acting dependently, but most of the time we see they are acting independently. They are looking for things. They are not satisfied with what Krishna is giving because that means they are acting independently. They are not dependent on the Lord. So that means if they are dependent, then why will they look for things? They will be satisfied because they know that Krishna is going to provide whatever they need. So, but that's not the case. So that's why in today's world it's very difficult to find these qualities. So that is what the consciousness is missing. So that's why when the deities are worshipped like that, then hardly many temples you see that hardly the devotees or people are not coming, and deities are not worshipped properly because of the consciousnness is not there actually in the service. No attention to the details, and absorbed in their own self-service. So that is the problem. So that's what we have to be careful. The instruction for us to be careful in our whatever we are doing, little bit chanting or hearing or serving, that paying attention to details will go a long way. Even in our personal service to our family members, personal service to our friends, our parents. So we have to pay attention to the details because each and every person is different, unique, and they have their own characteristics. So then we have to serve accordingly. How to massage or how to feed or how to serve them, what they like, what they don't like. So you have to be in that way. When we pay attention to detail, then the relationship will become harmonious, and we strengthen our relationships. But it takes time. So that's why the paying attention to the details is not only in devotion service, everywhere it helps. Even on the job also, when we pay attention to the details, it helps. Understanding the other person, we have to put on other person's shoes. So when we are serving the Lord also, we have to think that, so is my child, is my father, how will we serve? We serve with attention. We serve like my own child, my own father. So with personal touch. Same way, so the Supreme Lord also, we should be very much dependent. So my father is a dependent, so rather it should be other way, master and servant. We should act on that way. We are not at the platform of Bhava or Prema. So that's why we have to always think Supreme Lord as a master. But we should be in a personal way, not impersonal. That means when we touch, we shouldn't be hurriedly, we shouldn't be loudly speaking, we shouldn't be arguing on the altar. So all these things must be, or at the home also. While doing the deity, we should be peaceful. So these are the some of the things we have to consider. Any questions? Already 9:15. Any questions? Do so. Thank you very much. We'll stop here. No questions. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, गोपाल की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय.